After 23 weeks of touring the nation's best and most famous dirt racing facilities, we finally end here. Not at Fairbury Speedway. I actually just realized I forgot to change the B-roll out. Knew I was forgetting something. We're not at Hussett or Fairbury Speedway. We are at the dirt track at Charlotte for the final race of the season. Getting ready to kick things off one final time for the VDRA Late Model Series. My name is Finny Kuna here with Connor Horn. As always, Connor, glad to have you back with me for one final event for these drivers. It's one of the crown jewels, 100 laps on the board, double points, and cash money on the line.
Cash money on the line. It's been cash money for Travis Beckner all season. We'll see if he can take back some money at some point this season. You look at the schedule, look at all the crown jewels we've had. Volusia, Tyler Gary took that one. You get all the way to Lucas Oil. Clayton Johnson won that one. Then the 80-lapper. Husitz was Jaden Freiberger. Then our latest one at Eldora was also won by Clayton Johnson. So as far as these 100-lap features have gone, Travis Beckner hasn't gotten one, and he's won so many times this season. You think it's about time he gets one. He was very close winning this 50-lap feature at this very track. Much earlier in the season, he led all but 6 laps or so, but it was Dalton Kane who got, for now, his one and only victory all season at this track, leading only the final lap after Beckner and Clayton Johnson got together out of 2. But this should be a pretty fun one, very wide track. You'll see drivers right up towards the outside wall. This should be a fun World Championship.
Should be a fantastic one indeed as the drivers get ready to get down to the racetrack and get to business. And, you know, we've seen them all season long. You know, a couple drivers here and there, but of course you mentioned the main driver that is really dominating the series. And I mean, he's already won the championship. He locked it up a couple weeks prior, and that's Travis Beckner in the 27 machine. He's done a fantastic job out there on the track, and well, we're looking to see if he can get it done one final time, get another win to his name. Has won 10 races so far out of the 22 starts he's made.
Yeah, and he's trying to make it 11-423 for him at least. It won't be quite half the races this season, but I don't think he'll mind. It's darn close. He's been top 10 in every race. He's been top 5 in all but 3 of his starts. So whenever he's racing, he's going to be at the front. He's going to be a threat. Brump and Carey trying to be a threat tonight. He's had some good runs as of late in this season. He's the first one to put a time down. His benchmark he put down to 15.2. As everyone else gets on the racetrack. Bryce Ensack with 14.82 as I was really get tired looking at Brett wheel his race car because he has a lot of force feedback and what is definitely like an open wheel GT3 type rim, and it's whipping him around every week.
Every single week. I mean, I feel like he might not go to the gym or might not have to go to the gym after driving in the sim rig for an hour because he is absolutely hauling it. Will not hold on to provisional pole level. Bryce Ensack will take that position away as Travis Beckner gets out there and flies around the track.
Yeah, last race was during the day here, so it'll be pretty much a night race, 100-lap feature. We'll have some tire conservation. Beckner, did he go provisional pole? Yes, he did. 14.662, about a tenth and a half clear of anyone else who's put a time down. Case Lakatos is in the 5th position. Ryan Zabot just getting on track. Still waiting on Jacob Cannon, who's returning for the season finale after he was not here last week. We'll see what he can do. Clayton Johnson, obviously, he's won a lot of the money races, the big features this season. Wait for him to get on track, as well as Jaden Freiberger, last week's winner. Yeah,
a lot of great names toward the end of the season. Everyone coming back for this final race. With Beckner, you got Freiberger, Johnson, Cannon, Dalton Kane. All of them have been fantastic this season. And all of them winners, unfortunately, except for Clayton, not Clayton Johnson, except for Jacob Cannon. And, I mean, who knows? Could be in the final race. You can turn things around. How about Ryan Zabot, as you're just talking over, will take provisional pole away from Travis Beckner in a fantastic time, 114.784. Or, sorry, 6.15 actually is what put him on pole. Fantastic time for him. Ryan Swan will go up to 3rd. Jaden Freiberger, 6th on his first outing.
Freiberger's going to try to send it to the bottom a little harder. Probably not really happy with being 4/10 off. Lap 2 looks to be faster, and it is 14.669, just shy of Beckner's time. Not quite enough for the front provisional row or with one of the poles of the probably 2 heats. You might get 3 heats as we're still waiting on a number of drivers to go in. Joseph Swan clocked in 7th at 14.91. Freiberger getting some practice laps, still waiting on Jacob Cannon, Clayton Johnson, and Dalton Kane still yet to put a time down. And there goes Clayton Johnson.
Flying out.
Flung it on the track.
Yeah, he actually bailed out of his first attempt. I guess did not like the way that lap was going. So rev things back up, and there he is sliding around the outside, trying to see if he can get up inside the top few positions. If not, snatch a pole away. We'll see what he can do.
Immediately to the bottom, let it go pretty high on the racetrack on exit. He's actually going to run high in 3 and 4, so maybe didn't like that 1 and 2. Going to try to wind it up for a real nice lap 2. Get that high line rolling at a 3 and 4, 15.07. Sends it to the bottom, doesn't hit those tires. Pretty late exit, but he got all the way to the outside wall. Going to do it again, just get to the flat for a short amount of time. Get up on the banking, bring it to the line. Is it pole position for Clayton Johnson? Not quite, about a 10th off. And he goes 4th out of the 11 to put a time down.
And meanwhile, looking at Jacob Cannon going around in the 93 machine. All right on the first lap, but everyone aiming for lap number 2 as he goes up to the wall. Almost a little bit of a tap of the wall, 14.794. Not necessarily faster. It actually corrects itself to a 777. And he'll stay in 6th position. Dalton Kane looks like will not get out on the racetrack and will not have enough time to get a qualifying effort down. And let's take a look at our results here for the end of qualifying. Ryan Zabot with a surprising qualifying effort, and that will be his first pole of the season.
No better time than to get it done than right now. He's another one who doesn't have a win this season, but especially earlier in the season, he was at the front threatening in some of those races, but kind of trailed off as the season's gone on. But it would outdo pretty much all the names that have been at the front all season. Beckner, Freiberger, Johnson, Ryan Swan. Jacob Cannon will probably be disappointed with 6th. Joseph Swan 9th. Jonathan Avert's back this week, down in 10th.
Yeah, with that qualifying wrapped up and getting ready to go here for the final set of heats we have in this series. 2 heats tonight, 6 drivers apiece. And we'll get down to the racetrack and get ready to go for the first of both heats tonight with Ryan Zabot again starting on provisional pole. And in a surprising twist, taking it away from Travis Beckner, who's looking to get his 11th pole of the season. Won't quite be the case, but I don't think he'll be too terribly upset. He's had a fantastic season otherwise. Dominating the competition compared to everyone else. Jaden Fryer line up in 2nd place in the number 24 machine, 2nd place in the points, and more or less secured that spot coming into tonight. Ryan Swan lined up in 3rd in the number 20 machine. Next to him will be Bryce Senizak in the 09. Joseph Swan lined up in the 1 in 5th with Casey Lakatos in the 13, rounding out your field of 6.
It'll be an interesting few heats. Probably see that bottom line wear out a little bit. We'll see that top line really come into play pretty early on in the main feature, I think, because we saw in the 50-lap race a month ago, almost half a year ago, how after not too many laps, that bottom side was gone and it was slide job central. And this is a track that invites a slide job into any of these corners. You got a lot of room to make it, but those tires, just like a lot of tracks that we've seen on the schedule, you hit those tires, you're going for a ride.
Yeah, it's a big thing to watch out for, and we've seen a couple drivers get a little bit too sendy, I guess is the best way to put it, when it comes to flying around a track like this and taking advantage of those tires. So we'll see if that bites anyone. Typically, for the most part, people have been good, except when they really, really send it in and hope for the best. Ryan Zabot in charge of the field, pace truck off and away. We'll wait to see when he will pick the moment to strike and try to break away from Freiberger. Off and away he will go. Green flag is in the air for heat number 1.
Good initial start. He got away from Freiberger, but that 24 is able to carry so much more speed on entry than Ryan Zabot was. But 3 and 4 looking pretty good for the 10. Ryan Swan got the 3rd, Joseph Swan 4th, and not a great start for Bryce Senizak.
Look at these guys flying in formation back here. Casey Lakatos. Ooh, some contact pushes Senizak out of line. An aggressive move from the 13. Oh, and up ahead, Joseph Swan. Bumper, as the 20 goes around. And that won't quite bring out a caution, though.
And Joseph Swan got into Ryan Swan, so Swans attacking each other. Never really want to see that. There was low contact there. And we obviously saw the 1309 get together, but then there's contact here. Joseph Swan low far back. 20 kind of crowds him. They kind of went for the same piece of real estate. Nowhere for Casey Lakatos to go. Meanwhile, at the front, Zabot has got a mirror full of Jaden Freiberger.
Yeah, he's not let go of the number 10, although Freiberger is slowly going to be running out of time as we are already halfway through this one. And you can see these guys are very, very close to those tires on the inside line. They're taking full advantage of the track and not being worn out. Shortest way around, typically the fastest until it wears out. Then you go to the top, but a little bit too early for that. But you see him looking low. Does he move him? Almost moves him. Tries to get him to tries to scare him out of line.
Pretty respectful though, didn't shove him out of line, just pretty much used all of the little room that he had down there, but wasn't quite able to get the run off the corner to keep it down there. Now he's kind of ran out of time. That bottom line not going away in time for that top side to really come into play. Everyone running the bottoms though, unless he wants to experiment this last lap, he's probably going to have to try to boot him a little bit.
There we go, white flag in the air. One more lap to go here in heat number 1. Gets very, very close, just finds a hole. Can he force it to the inside? Heading into the last 2 turns, tries to get something going. Zabot defending hard, barely on the outside of the inside line, and he will take the win here ahead of Freiberger to secure his spot, starting in first place for the main event.
Big deal for Zabot to get that. He should have a pretty interesting start. He'll be able to set the pace for this 100-lap future. We see the tire saving come into play in these long races all the time. So I think really for the first time this season, he's going to be the one that's going to be able to set that pace at the start.
Fantastic stuff there, and I didn't necessarily have my eye on Ryan Zabot. He's had some decent performances here and there, but definitely is showing quite a bit of pace here tonight. So definitely, I think we're going to have to keep him circled. I mean, he's going to be starting in first place, starting on pole for tonight's race. And, while this is definitely more of a marathon than a sprint when you add 100 laps to the board, definitely going to want to watch yourself and pace yourself out there.
Yeah, and he's going to have to do that while also trying to keep the lead, which is easier said than done. I mean, we saw at Eldora how one yellow can change everything. The guys who push their stuff, if there's not a yellow, they're in a good spot. But if you do get that yellow and you've been pushing your stuff for 60, 70 laps, you're not going to be able to do anything on the restart. You're going to drop like a rock. So you really got to try to balance your stuff once we get to that feature.
And before we head to the feature, you got heat number 2 to go through. We'll go through your starting lineup. It'll be Travis Beckner starting on pole in the number 27 machine. Next to him, it'll be Clayton Johnson in the 225, lined up in second place. Behind in third, it'll be the number 93 of Jacob Cannon. In fourth, Brent Picari lined up in the 35, and Jonathan Everett lined up in the 5 in the 3 car. And it looks like we don't have Dalton Kane. Not sure he's just not in the server or unable to join, or if he'll join later. Was registered in the session, though.
Is in the session, just not going to be in this heat unless he starts late, but still pretty stacked heat. 27, 225, 93. Some of them don't like each other, if not all of them. They always hit each other, and this is just going to be 8 laps. Think about what's going to happen after 88 laps out of 100 if there's a restart with these 3 up there.
I can't wait. And then you also have to consider the fact, too, it's the last race of the season, right? And you gotta wonder, are the admins gonna do anything into next year, into next season? So if you have dirty laundry, I think tonight's gonna be the night to air it, and I feel like there's quite a bit of dirty laundry between some of these drivers.
We'll just have to see how much of it gets aired out. If we get to that point where the admins have to do something for next season, it would have to be pretty severe.
Let's see. We'll see what happens here as Beckner slowly parades the field to the green. Off he goes in the middle of 3 and 4, and we are green here for heat number 2. See, Jacob Cannon wastes no time to secure second place ahead of Clayton Johnson.
Yeah, Clayton Johnson wasn't ready. Kind of got caught napping and just could not get back to be inside of Jacob Cannon. But Cannon's going to be really the first driver trying to search up to that middle line, see what that middle line's all about right now. 35 Pancari went up there as well as 225 is going to try to slide a little bit, but a little grip in that middle lane right now is a little contact for second.
Smallest bit of contact, enough to knock the 93 a little bit sideways, but able to keep going. And you see he's trying to get that lane to work because we're just getting to the point where that inside lane's starting to wear out more. But I honestly don't think it's quite there, not really how we typically see it late in the race. You see Beckner go to the middle of the racetrack.
Whoa, and Clayton Johnson tried to take advantage of all that clear air and clean racetrack he had, but not quite able to get the grip to get in front of Jacob Cannon. He's trying to force Cannon into a mistake, just running him out of room almost, but Cannon's able to stay strong in the middle. We're basically 3 wide of a lead, but that bottom line, you can see Clayton Johnson starting to lose some grip. Cannon's going to try to go down there, see if he can make the move on Beckner, but looks like that grip's going away.
Grip is slowly going away, and you can see him trying to get something to work to the inside, but you see the loss in grip just does not have the drive off the corner like we saw the leaders in heat number 1. Still trying to make it work, though, and now you see Clayton Johnson taking advantage or trying to take advantage of the situation. Looks to the outside.
That's a risky take. Cannon's trying to get that left front all pretty much on the grass down there, trying to find any grip down there possible. It's just not there. And if you try to make that move to the inside and you don't make it work, it's almost like you would see at an asphalt racetrack at like a 1.5 miles. If you do not make that pass for the lead, you're going to be not in a good spot. You're going to get freight trained by the line ahead of you. But Cannon's able to kind of pull a slide job on Clayton Johnson. Johnson returns a favor. Almost got to the inside of Beckner.
White flag in the air, half a lap to go. Switch back to the inside. Back goes Jacob Cannon. Clayton Johnson tries to throw it back on him. Beckner will win the heat as a drag race to the line, and I think it was Cannon by a nose. Oh boy, that was awfully close, and it will be Jacob Cannon ahead of Clayton Johnson. And a fantastic photo finish.
And neither driver could get a beat on Beckner. Beckner was able to hold that middle line and keep it the entire way while these two battled, and it was tighter than I initially thought. But Jacob Cannon, really just due to the initial start of that heat, he's able to get that second spot. Definitely looked like it was a track position race for those first 2 heats. But we'll see what we get to once this track gets worn out, as we're going to work this track in for the full warm-up.
Yeah, we'll see if they take the full time. I know last race was a little bit quicker. Or you can argue that they got all race to wear this thing out because, again, with 100 laps, this track is going to get beat up even more so than it did in the 50-lap run we had last time we were here earlier in the year.
Pretty much. We should see them get fully... Oh, there's those tires you're talking about. You do not want to hit those or you are going to go flying, as Ryan Swan just found out the hard way as he just about went up and over. I'm surprised he didn't, but this is going to be an interesting one to see how different this track could race, not only because it's double the length of the last race we had here, but also under the lights as opposed to the day race that we had. So who knows, you know, an asphalt racetrack on pavement, that would mean more grip, faster speeds, probably harder to pass. So we definitely saw in those first 2 heats, track position mattered. The pole sitter won both heats, and the only pass in the top 3 was really on the initial start of those heats. So we'll see how this track develops. We'll see if we get to the point where it's Clayton Johnson banging the right rear quarter panel on the outside wall like we've seen so many times this season.
Oh, see some contact with Johnson and Cannon in practice. And some may argue it doesn't really matter, but again, that's definitely 2 I would keep a little bit circled on my radar. If you're looking for any drama to occur tonight.
Looking for drama to occur tonight. Looks like the 04 is not here, so don't know if we'll quite see anything with him and Beckner. We'll see. The 1 has already hit the 20. The Swans have already gone at it. Joseph Swan does not shy away from contact. But I think you always got to look at Jacob Cannon and Clayton Johnson, the 2 drivers that don't really like each other, and the incidents have kind of been one-sided between the 2. So you just never quite know. We've also seen Joseph Swan get into it with Jacob Cannon as well, so you never quite know. But we've been saying it for a month or 2 now. He's been getting hit a lot this season. He has not been able to do much about it. When he's been in contention for top 3s or even wins, he just has not really gotten the respect. And, you know, like you were saying, it's the last race of a season. Air your dirty laundry out. He could just finally say, you know what? Let's race everyone the way they race me, and just go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I definitely think he is owed more than what's been given to him this season. He's had the pace. He's been up there so many times. He's finished second more times than he's probably willing to count. In fact, I'm going to count it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times he's finished second place in half the starts, I would say, too, because he showed up in the middle of the season. And it's just been a lot of seconds, a couple thirds here and there. He's finished very well, but never been able to get that elusive win, and I'm sure he's out there, and he's going to have, I mean, everyone's going to have the one mission on their mind, get a win before the season's over with the championship locked up and wrapped up. So now it's just a matter of just getting that win, ending the season on at least a bit of a high note. But the problem is, like I mentioned, everyone's going to be going for it.
Everyone's going to be going for it. You got Dalton Kane, who is on track. He's going to be going for 2 wins this season, trying to get his 2nd win. Jaden Freiberger is trying to get his 4th win, his 2nd in a feature event, and he's roughing to Clayton Johnson, getting it started early. Jonathan Averett, see what type of speed he has as he got moved into the wall there by the 225 as well. As this is warm-up, you're just kind of having fun, but sometimes that creeps into the race because some people don't like racing hard in warm-ups like that. But Freiberger, very fast, especially at the end of a season. He's been competing with the 225 and 27 of Beckner. More than he was at the beginning of the season. Definitely one of the more improved drivers throughout this entire year of racing. Casey Lakatos, see what he does. We should see him fight at the front, I think, early on if he pushes his stuff. But like I said, Dalton Kane, his only win came right here, and he only led 1 lap. And you double that, he could lead 2 laps tonight and win. So who knows what he'll do.
Yeah, and he is out there on the racetrack. I'm not sure if he had a qualifying penalty or not, but he is out on the track. And again, for the fans at home, might be entertaining to see him out there because where the 7 and the 225 have been, drama has not been too terribly far behind.
No, definitely not.
Say the least.
Yeah, when we were here in the spring, basically, it was Travis Beckner and Clayton Johnson in turn 2 that pretty much took each other out, that let Dalton Kane get the victory. So that was a big deal in the spring. We'll see what type of racing and what type of finish we get this time around.
Yeah, checker flag is out in warm-up, ran into completion as the drivers get ready and lined up for what should be the final race of the season, of the year, round 24 of 24. 100 laps on the board, and final chance to get some money prizes to end this season on a bit of a high note. Again, of course, highest note, Travis Beckner, 10 wins, 10 poles to his name. Will not get another pole tonight. Still has a chance to add 1 more win to his name, though, before it's all said and done.
Yeah, Beckner trying to get 11, Freiberger trying to get 4. And Beckner, like we said, he's still trying to get his first feature win of the entire season. Has not won a crown jewel race, I believe, all season. All his wins in the 50-lap events. Clayton Johnson has won, I believe, 2 of the features, the crown jewels. Tyler Gary won the first one in the series history. We had the 80-lap one, went to Freiberger. So we got only a few winners, but Beckner's not one of them quite yet.
Everyone lined up on the grid as the pace truck will start to roll off. And we get ready for final crown jewel event of the year as well. And I really do like these longer races. You know, some people may say it's boring. You get to see just watching everyone kind of pace themselves. But we had a very good shot, especially at Eldora, if I think that race went to term. To see some drivers, because they waited a little bit too long to get to the front of the pack, and we almost would have saw a new first-time winner. See, lessons were learned from that. We see drivers be a little bit more aggressive in this and try to push themselves to the front. Of course, we know Travis Beckner, one of the best drivers in the series when it comes to tire saving.
He'll be one of the best. Clayton Johnson was so good at it at Eldora. That's why he was able to pull off the victory. Cannon was good, although he got into some incidents at the end of the race. I would not be surprised to see Zabo push the pace a little faster than what Beckner, Clayton Johnson are willing to do, but I think you definitely got to look for the guys at the back, starting at the back. Bryce Senesac, Brett Punkeri, Ryan Swan, those guys to really push hard and hope this race goes green and be in that same scenario Mason Kane was in at Eldora.
See Ryan Zabo slowly pacing the field into turns 3 and 4, waiting for him to turn it loose. There he goes, off and away for the final race of the VDRA Late Model Series this season. As we have some contact coming to the line already.
I couldn't tell who that was. I think it was Joseph Swan who got into Jaden Freiberger, who was inside before we even got, and we're already hitting. He hit the 09. Ryan Swan's going to get into him. Jonathan Averett involved, and the caution is out pretty early.
That was a long one developing. That started before the green flag even came out. Let's try to take a look and see what happened there.
Beckner got the lead out of that, I believe. I don't think Beckner got the lead, actually.
I think that
Zabo still has the lead. It starts here.
Yeah, Joseph Swan. Oh, I think Joseph Swan, I think he kind of... I'm not sure if he necessarily jumped to start, but definitely got a decent run.
I don't know if he jumped it. It was close, but then they had contact there, and Freiberger didn't like it. Pretty much put him in the wall. Then Swan down into Senesac, and then Lagata said nowhere to go. But I don't know if... See if Freiberger... See what he does here. See when Zabo goes. He goes kind of starting to inch ahead. before the 10 goes, then the 24.
24 definitely didn't get a great start, and I think that partially contributed
Then right
to it.
here, I mean, 24 didn't really push up the track that much. Swan just kind of got squirrely, and then all these three, Averett, Ryan Swan, Bryce Sensex is a bystander. Joseph Swan's already not happy at the 24, so we'll see how that develops throughout the rest of the night, as Freiberger already pretty much at the back of the field because he had the pit for damage repair, but also he probably didn't need the pit for damage repair, but 100 lap feature, yellow lap 2, you don't, it doesn't really matter much.
You might as well. I think you want to try, if anything, fix the car up now. You definitely want to try to be fixing it up later. At least now
Or
you can,
Jonathan Averett.
yeah, at least now you have some time to bounce back. Does Joseph Swan have a black flag, or is it just me? Because I do see his.
It does look like he has a black flag.
So I wonder if that is forward jumping the start, because I think he did pass on the inside. And I'm wondering if the admins are going to let that stand, because I feel like they would have cleared it by now. We'll see as they go green. I'm sure he's going to be arguing most that he can for it to be dismissed. So we'll see what happens here as the bow goes once again, and we get going once more. Green flag back in the air for the restart here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Jacob Cannon working the inside, trying to get to the inside of Travis Beckner. See Joseph Swan struggling on the outside with some damage to that car.
And Zabot got really fortunate with the timing of that yellow. Travis Beckner cleared him at a turn 2, but they didn't get to lap 2. They didn't complete lap 2, I guess, by rule. Therefore, he kept the race lead. So he's able to get away with that and keep the pace in front of Beckner for at least a little while longer, as top 3, really top 4 single file out. It's Calamity 5th on back.
Yeah, Joseph Swan definitely struggling, it looks like, to get the car rotated, kicked out, so he's kind of hovering on the inside line. Still has not served that penalty, though. He's got to be careful as we see a battle for the lead as Beckner goes to the inside and takes it away, and that was quicker than I would have thought that was going to be.
Saw Zabot say in chat that he didn't know what pace to run. I think that's a product of that. He doesn't know how fast or how slow he needs to keep the pace, so Beckner's going to take advantage of that and end up setting his own pace as Joseph Swan finally comes in, I believe, to serve that black flag. He'll be the first and only driver lap down for the time being, so Cannon's 3rd, Licata's 4th, and Clayton Johnson trying to battle for 5th with Ryan Swan.
I don't even know if he's really trying to battle. It looks like he's just slowly dropping back.
Trying to ride.
Yeah.
He might just be riding. I mean, look at it right here, how little he's kicking out the car. While even the guys at the front, you see him, Beckner and Zabot, trying to do the same thing, not really kicking the right route, trying to save that for the end of the race.
And Casey Licata's not willing to wait in line. He wants to get to the front of the group. And he is definitely going to be pushing the envelope. I think it almost did work out for him well at Eldora. Had that caution to come out, he would have been walking away with a top 5, if not a win. So he wants to get out there and get ahead of the group. He doesn't want to sit and wait around. As Jacob Cannon's caught now up to Travis Beckner, and it looks like he's also not willing to wait around.
He wants to lead this race. He wants to set the pace a little bit faster than Beckner, but Beckner's going to be more than fine letting him by, giving him the lead, as it's probably going to be just fine with letting the 13 of Licata's get around him as well. And if I'm Jacob Cannon, I'm letting Licata's go here as well. Just, you want to set the pace, you want to go flying, be my guest. I'll get you a little bit later.
And it looks like Cannon's going to go up, Licata's going to go down. And not necessarily going to hand it to him on a silver platter, but not necessarily going to fight it. He's going to focus on his own lane. And it's come out of turn 4 with I'm not sure if that was Licata's at the line. And that indeed was Licata's at the line.
By only 2 1,000ths of a second, but a little surprised Jacob Cannon's battling him on that middle lane, not quite letting him get that race lead away and pulling away from Beckner in the process. I really think that's playing in the 27's favor and maybe even Clayton Johnson's favor even further back, but
this is interesting.
A lot of drivers still laying back as well. And I'm not too surprised to see Freiberger doing this because he lost all that track position, but he is really going slow.
Because he's not even trying, and you tell by the angle of the car. You know, the car doesn't have a lot of damage, got a little dinged up, but he is putting very little wheel into this thing, just kind of driving around, almost driving around like as if it was paved.
maybe it was at one point. I wonder how the track would race, but he's not even the furthest one back doing that. You go 4 seconds behind him, you got Dalton Kane even further back doing this, further back than Jonathan Averett even.
There he
and
is.
look at this, how slow he's going around this race.
He's about to get lapped. I think you're going to see the leaders coming to frame. There they are.
0.8 of a second slower than the race leaders right now doing that.
Yeah.
But once no lucky dog, so if you get lapped, your race is pretty much done if you get lapped, unless you get all the way back up there, pull a Bill Elliott, and unlap yourself, which you're not going to be able to do, almost certainly. So once Jacob Cannon gets there, he's got to go. He was 1.1 seconds slower last lap, and these guys are setting the fast pace. I'm still surprised Jacob Cannon's doing this.
Yeah, he has almost kicked it up into high gear, it seems. I thought he was going to let Licata go off on his own adventure, but he's joined him near the front. They've separated from Ryan Swan and Brent Pincari, 3rd and 4th, and Travis Beckner now falling back to 5th. Ryan Zabo, your pole sitter, back in 6th. So that's how the field separated out. Yeah, I just always love this, and I really do hope, I'm probably going to jinx it by saying this, that this race does go green all the way, because it's always so fun to see how everyone has these different takes and strategies of how hard to push. Usually there isn't really a lot of strategy in dirt racing, but this is really the main part of it, when to push and how hard to push.
Dalton Kane's going now. He just passed Jonathan Averett, and he's running 14.9s, which are just on par with the leaders' times. He saw them coming. He was like, okay, I got to go a little bit. And that might also be attacked by Jacob Cannon as well. He might know those guys that are trying to save their stuff or falling back pretty hard. He's like, okay, you guys are going to go that soft. I'm going to try to lap you, end your race.
It was a little bit slower last lap than the leaders. Of course, was making the pass on Joseph Swan, who is the only car lap down at the moment. Though I think that is sure to change with Jonathan Averett looking at the 93 bearing down on him in his mirror. Cannon a decent gap between himself and Licata, so he can kind of just hang out there. I wouldn't say necessarily chill, because he's still pushing the envelope, is the fastest car on the racetrack.
And for Averett, because there's not much he could do on that lap 1 crash, just a victim of it. And he's hoping for those yellows, looking for consistent yellows to try to get those repaired. Just hasn't happened. Joseph Swan, he's going to go 3 laps down.
And going middle 3 wide. He's got to be very careful with that, and he will get 2 for 1.
Quarter of the way through the race. Quarter way through the race, going 3 wide to the middle, trying to lap some drivers, always risky. Because these are really the only 2 pushing this fast of a pace. Licata's is 1.2 back. It's another 4 seconds back to Ryan Swan, Brett Pincari, Travis Beckner is in that group as well. It's another second back to Zabo. It looked like Pincari tapped the wall. A decent bit right there.
Yeah, it looks like they're fighting a little bit. I think Pincari's pushing, Travis Beckner trying to get the pass done, but also not pushing. See, he's just trying to get to the outside of the 27. This is last lap through. This is the pass that Travis Beckner made. And just barely got by the 35, and now we'll set his sights on Ryan Swan. So Beckner decided he wants to push a little bit harder and get past these 2.
Able to do that. Can't let those leaders, even if they're going to push hard, you don't want them to get too far out. Like we saw so many drivers misjudge at Eldora. It's actually crazy how badly misjudged it was by so many drivers that just were sitting there for 50, 60 laps. And once they realized they had to go, it was too late. If that goes green, you're seeing Mason Kane, David Weishart, one of those guys were going to end up winning that race. They got the fortunate yellow. It's not guaranteed it's going to happen tonight, especially with a little bit of a smaller field down to 12 cars. You just never know. You just gotta be aware of the gaps around you when you gotta make that move to the front.
Yeah, already Beckner behind 6.5 seconds. That's a decent amount to climb forward, but a third of the way through this race and 2/3 left to go. There's still, I would argue, enough time. Question is, do you have enough tires to lose? But parks it on the apex of turns 1 and 2. And Senizak gets in the back of him. Here now goes Zabo to the inside of Pincari.
Is really one of the few drivers really pushing the limits on that outside. Clayton Johnson's running up there too, just not as really sideways, trying to keep it in the loose dirt, maybe try to save tires that way while also not getting the car too far sideways. We can just see how conservative he is running that high line. Usually you see, and we talk about it all the time, he's planting the right rear pretty much in the fence, but not quite doing that yet.
He's keeping it there, but yeah, like you mentioned, not a lot of yaw compared to everyone else. You can tell how conservatively he's driving. Speaking of conservative driving, you can look at Gene Freiberger, and he's also, again, fallen quite, I don't want to say off the pace, because he definitely is managing his stuff. He's honestly actually not too far off Jacob Cannon's time, was a 10th slower last lap around. But time-wise, he's not too far. You can see they're almost on the same straightaway. As Freiberger's there's Dalton Kane, and there's Cannon. And I almost wonder with Cannon pushing so hard, if this is him trying to see if he can lap Dalton Kane, because if he can lap Dalton Kane, if a caution comes out, Kane's out of the running.
is trying to lap anyone, really, but these guys aren't smart enough to know when to push their stuff, as Clayton Johnson got by Brett Carey for 7th, but even when Dalton Kane started pushing, I don't know if he's still trying to save a little bit, but Jacob Cannon's still catching him ever so slightly, also catching the 24 of Freiberger, and even Clayton Johnson's probably only a straightaway ahead of Jacob Cannon, who's now got a 3-second lead over Case Lacadas, so at some point these drivers got to realize they got to start pushing their stuff.
Clayton Johnson, I really like the line he's running, really like the way he's running. He is just up there on that berm, but not pushing the car anywhere near as hard as you can tell compared to Ryan Swan. And you can see right there, look at that, the difference in how much yaw the 20's got, because he's pushing hard. Johnson not as much, just kind of riding it, feeling it out. And now you can see Johnson a little bit more aggressive on it as he tries to get the inside. You can see how much drive that car has off the corner, how much more grip he has, because he saved some tires. And we'll get 1, might get 2 here with a great run off turn 2.
I tell you what, he's already got that much more grip. There's 60 laps to go. I mean, we're not near the end where these guys are running out of tire. I mean, we have over half the race left, and he's still not getting the car sideways and passing these guys inside the top 5. I'd be very concerned if I was ahead of that 225. Even Brett Carey, he's really already faded pretty hard. 0.7 of a second slower than Jacob Cannon last time by, and now he's getting lapped.
He's pushed it pretty hard. We saw in the opening running, he was up there. Remember, he was up inside second, 3rd or 4th place. And now he's fallen off all the way back to 10th and now officially a lap down. As Jaden Freiberger now also trying to push a little bit harder, it seems, as he's trying to get around Bryce Senizak and now trying to get around Ryan Swan. And Ryan Swan, you can tell he's really struggling in that 20 machine to get this car rotated.
Got a lot of damage from that lap 1 incident. He's actually battling Bryce Senizak. Has pretty much the same issue. It's for the 7th position now. Dalton Kane actually starting to catch both of these drivers, so it's almost like the paces and the tires are falling off worse than Eldora, which would kind of surprise me. I think Eldora is a faster track. You'd have more tire issues there, but it seems like we haven't even gotten halfway, and we've got drivers really dropping here. As Dalton Kane, pretty daring move to get 1, gonna try to get 2 around the outside to get Senizak. Now he's starting to move. He ran a 15.4 last time by, which was faster 3 or 4 tenths compared to Jacob Cannon. Clayton Johnson ran a 15.63 last time by. He's trying to work over, lap traffic and also try to catch Beckner, who's way up the road.
Trying to get around Joseph Swan and look to the inside. And the issue I have with Kane and the way that Kane and Freiberg are running, I feel like if a caution were to come out, those two will definitely come back into play because everyone will be bunched back up together and they've not been running as hard. And I almost want to say that's what they're banking on at this point, because they almost have to make up an entire lap to get back to the leaders and then try to pass them. And, you know, especially with traffic floating around here and there and the field gets more and more spread out, it's going to be tougher and tougher to do.
Because I think they were not factoring in someone in front of them doing the tire saving that hard as well. I think Clayton Johnson's done a good job with his tires, and you know, if the yellow doesn't come out, they got to push their stuff. They're going to have to catch Clayton Johnson too, and they're 2 seconds plus back of Clayton Johnson at 225. So I think even if there is a yellow, their caution's out. Freiberger's in the wall.
Oh no, heavy damage, smoke billowing from his car. And that's going to be an unfortunate way to end the season for the number 24 runner-up finisher. He's got a tire get flown out from his car as he tries to get it moving. And how on earth did this happen with Joseph Swan?
Payback.
Oh,
that was pretty blatant payback. That's all that was. That was.
I mean, I don't want to see what Freiberger did wrong at the beginning, though. It's similar to what we saw last week. I don't think it really deserved any payback. I mean, I feel like that was more of a racing incident.
Lets him go and decides, you know what, I'm going to pull a bad slide job and ruin your race. That's all that was. And I agree. I don't think Freiberger deserved anything from lap 1. And he just decides to take him out of this long race and completely change the complexion of the race and end some races for the guys who went laps down. Swan, Poncari. I just don't get it.
Man, I would say one of these races we're going to see, but it is the last race of the season. I really wish you could see one of these go to completion. But that does change up everything, though. That is kind of the fun thing about this, that it completely changes it as we're effectively halfway into this race. So Jacob Cannon, he was out there pushing. Probably one of the last people that wanted to see this caution come out.
Yeah, I mean, and Jacob Cannon, other drivers had issues with Joseph Swan, so I can imagine how he feels. Case Licata's probably upset. I can't even imagine Beckner's too happy about that because he had a pretty big gap back to Clayton Johnson. Now, Clayton Johnson, all that tire saving, it's basically 250-lap features now with some drivers who already pushed their stuff to the limit and some drivers who have some stuff left. I think the drivers you'll see go to the front are Clayton Johnson, Dalton Kane. As
Yeah.
Jaden Freiberg's going to get his mangled car back on track, but it won't be as fast, no matter what the tires look like.
Yeah, we'll see how it is. See, Casey Scott is getting really close to 93. Wants to try to get a decent run. This will be interesting to see. Everyone with different, really tire life left. We'll see how big of a factor it is. As you go back green here with Cannon, a great jump for him. Licata's not as much, but still trying to keep Travis Beckner at bay. And look at the 225. Johnson stretching his legs to the outside.
At that point, you start seeing him push his stuff further. He got in the back of Beckner a little bit, though. Going to get slowed up. Dalton Kane trying to rip the outside, maybe take advantage of the 225 getting slowed up by Travis Beckner for that second spot. As you can see, even Beckner has a lot more grip than Jacob Cannon into the corner. And this 93, I think, is just hanging on for dear life at this point. Beckner with the slide job. Going to get the spot. Here comes the crossovers.
And here comes Cannon back to the inside, not willing to give this up without a fight. But you see all of them hooking it on the outside, and look at them fly out of turn two. A great run for Travis Beckner. Now Johnson trying to join the fray as well.
And Clayton Johnson tried to get to his outside. Beckner kind of ran a little higher than what he was anticipating. Johnson wanted the bottom. Here goes Cannon. He kind of took it from him, but that bottom line not quite working. The tires not really hooking up, and he just can't get back to the outside because Clayton Johnson's used that lane up.
Can't quite get there, and everyone's going to that outside.
Oh!
Hook as Cannon tries to force his way to the outside lane. That didn't work. Dalton Kane taking advantage of the situation, not to get more contact with the 93.
The 7 was a little low on the exit. Don't think Jacob Cannon meant to do that, but he definitely squeezed Clayton Johnson out of room, and it worked really well for Dalton Kane, and they're hitting again. Here comes Ryan Zabot trying to get 3 for 1 as Beckner's loving this. He's gotten away from all of this. Clayton Johnson's going to go back the second. Oh, big contact in the 3 that time.
Johnson versus Dalton Kane. And 3 wide again off the corner as Johnson squeezes his car there. Doesn't want to get caught off by the 93. He knows he's got a good car to fight. So does the 7, though. They both really haven't pushed that hard. And the 7 really the least of all.
They keep hitting in turn 3. They both want that kind of middle line in turn 3. Kane goes straight to get to it. Clayton Johnson tries to come down the track to get to it, and they meet in the middle. But Clayton Johnson got it off of turn 4 regardless, but gave Beckner a pretty big gap to try to keep his stuff on it for at least a little while longer.
It looks like it's calmed down for now, at least a little bit. And I imagine it's going to boil over, but now I think they've kind of subtle a difference because they know Travis Beckner is slowly getting away, but not for long.
3 wide in the back for 8th. Jaden Freiberger's mangled mess is in the middle of all that, trying to get by Ryan Swan. Is even with no front end at all, he's still able to pass a few of them.
Well, might as well try to get as many positions as he can at this point in the season. He's continuing to run that mangled mess out there, and he's going to hope for another caution or two to try to fix things as much as he can. But back to the leaders. Clayton Johnson barely making a dent, but he is catching the 27.
More of a dent. It was about a 10th last time by, and you could. I think it's a matter of time. Beckner pushes stuff a little harder, and he's just his tires are just going to be progressively worse throughout this run. It's just a matter of who gets them, and if they make it without wrecking. Really, as you can see, Clayton Johnson still not really pushing his car as much as it needs to. You can tell how little it is getting sideways in the corner. He's not pushing as hard as he needs to yet. I think it's a matter of time until he goes for this.
Still got quite a bit of racing left to go. As Clayton Johnson now trying to find a way around the 27. Thought about looking to the outside, maybe trying to see if he can have a look to the inside.
I think Beckner kind of spooked him a little bit there. Beckner went to the bottom, almost blocked him from doing that slide job into turn 3 a little bit. And Beckner just trying to plant his car in front of Clayton Johnson because he's going to do it again into turn 3. And they got lap traffic.
And that's lap traffic fighting for position, or trying to fight for position, Brent Picari and Ryan Swan. So they're both going to have to navigate this. You see them ripping the top lane, and it looks like Brent Picari's kind of pulled out of line and decided to not interfere in this battle. As Ryan Swan will also try to get himself out of the way of the leaders.
He's in the wall. He keeps it straight, though. Dalton Kane, I thought he might be able to stay a little closer to Clayton Johnson with how much further back he was, but just can't quite stay with these top 2 as Clayton Johnson's really close this time. He's going to go for it, even though Beckner tried to shut it down.
Here's the slide job in 3 and 4. Beckner coming back on the inside. That could be exactly what Dalton Kane is looking for. Now Johnson to the outside, Beckner back on the bottom, not quite able to slam the door shut. It'll be Clayton Johnson that takes the lead for now, but goes right towards Jonathan Everett, has to slam on the brakes, and Beckner now to the outside with the run. 3 wide, gonna split him.
They're gonna have to split him. Everett didn't really do much wrong. 2-2-5. Clayton Johnson just caught him in a bad spot. That gives Beckner the advantage around the outside, back for the race lead.
Not quite able to hold it there. Another slide job from Johnson. Beckner back to the bottom, gets a great drive off turn 4, almost clears Johnson. And will clear him.
He squeezed him, kind of put him in the wall, kind of messed up the entry for Clayton Johnson. Going to be another slide job. They're going to have to lap Jaden Freiberger, who's really slow entering the corner with all that damage. So Johnson had to really back out of it. But Beckner, you can see, struggling, can't get out of a corner as the 24 pulls it off the track.
A little bit of a dent there, so some damage to the rear wing. Looks like it didn't quite stay, didn't get that damage as Beckner comes back to the bottom. And Dalton Kane is loving every second of this because these guys are using their stuff up.
We saw defending at its best last week with Freiberger, defending Clayton Johnson. Every time he went for a slide job, he had the perfect crossover answer. That's exactly what Beckner's got to do this time. It's just whenever Clayton Johnson goes for that move, he has to be ready to counter him with a crossover to get him into the next set of corners. You can't give him that opportunity to just clear you, but Clayton Johnson's going to try it, but Beckner stayed strong around the outside that time.
Strong push by Beckner to the outside, trying to get the pass done. Oh, almost gets put in the wall, and there's a switchback, or somewhat of a switchback. Tries to go to the inside now.
Big crossover. Beckner's kind of last gasp effort. Clayton Johnson was ready for it, crosses him over, going to clear him pretty much before the entry to the corner. Beckner going to try to fire it back to the inside, but that could have been it right there. There might be contact, but Beckner got a pretty good exit.
Look at the focus on his face. Beckner's locked in, trying to see if he can get this lead back as Johnson goes back to the inside. A great switch up, and they'll switch up again in 3 and 4.
And Clayton Johnson's ready for it every time. Backs up hard, gets this exit, but Beckner's a little bit better out of 4 doing that than he is out of 2, but can't quite do it that time. Clayton Johnson kind of cleared him at the perfect time to where Beckner couldn't pull to the inside to slide him without right rearing him, as here goes Clayton Johnson defending that move once again.
Beckner trying to make the move back on bottom and see some lap traffic just up the road. And as Brent Picari again as a slide job from Beckner once more as Johnson's able to just switch at the last second.
And that was a good one by Beckner, but Clayton Johnson just had the answer as Dalton Kane just lurking, just can't quite get close enough to really do anything about these two battling this hard right now. As Beckner tried the slide job there. You could see him almost slam the brakes to avoid hitting Clayton Johnson and lost a lot of time doing it.
I feel like Dalton Kane's been suspiciously slow the last couple laps watching this battle, and I wonder if he's just kind of waiting for these two to almost take each other out, and then he can just kind of forward pass. As Beckner, big send there. Oh, and did Johnson just lose his wing?
He did. I think he did. He did lose his wing. Caution's out. Jonathan Everett brought out the yellow, but Clayton Johnson lost the wing.
And that's major. We've seen all season long how critical every piece of bodywork is to this car, aerodynamically speaking, as Avery just kind of loses it. The car was really struggling and just went up into the wall. Unfortunately, will have to retire, but we'll take a look at Clayton Johnson. And it actually didn't look like that severe of a contact, but I guess it was enough for the sim to register to take that wing off.
But the yellow might help him put it back on. We've seen harder hits. He's done that all season, but this one just so happened to take the wing off, and he was able to keep the lead. I don't know if he'll be able to get out in the lead and keep that, but it's a huge break for Beckner.
And there goes Johnson, able to get the wing back on. It's damaged, but back on. That's better than nothing.
Yeah, Beckner's in mint condition. See how much he can get that repaired. I suppose he should be able to come out with the lead still. Yeah, because it is frozen, but I think it's frozen to the last lap. So when he gets back on the racetrack, we'll have to see how the sim scores both of them, because they've been pretty much constantly switching back and forth. In fact, we'll take a look and see how many laps led. 24 for Travis Beckner. Jacob Cannon probably has a decent chunk. 41 to his name. Uh-oh. I don't know if you just saw everyone flash on your side of things. I just saw everyone flash on my side of things. That was a weird one. And then Clayton Johnson. 8 laps led this race and needs to get out on the racetrack. Oh, boy. Yeah, maybe if he doesn't get back on track, there's not much he can do, as he is going to get back out there pretty late. Really hope that's him having internet issues and not me, because
Last thing I want for this last race season to have some internet issues. But we'll see. He'll get back out there and will not get up to the lead. So this is now going to be Beckner versus Dalton Kane here as we take the green flag here one more time. Just about 20 laps left to go.
Dalton Kane, I think he sees an opportunity, gets to be inside of Beckner, trying to pull this slide job. It's between the 7 and 27. We saw how far out they got the last run. He's going to run Beckner out of room.
Try to run him out of room. Here comes Beckner back to the bottom. This is exactly what Dalton Kane was waiting to save his stuff for. And there you see he's really showing his pace, really stretching his legs. Will take the lead away from Beckner, but Beckner not going to give this up.
It's all Beckner's really got is to slide him over and over again. But at some point, Dalton Kane, once he gets to his inside, he just has to commit to the inside line and just shut that down. But he's not doing it. I don't think Beckner can really pull a slide job this time. This is where Dalton Kane has to have a strong 3 and 4 and just shut it down once and for all, but he's up the track and he doesn't have the grip either.
It does look like Dalton Kane's kind of just letting him throw these slide jobs as if he knows it's not really going to work because he has such superior drive off the corner. So he's just letting him burn up more of his tires as he's just going to kind of stick to his line and make it work. And you see right there running, not the high line, just about the higher middle line. And just keep that car going.
Beckner planting at the right rear to the wall. See if he gets. Big. Got ran out of room by Dalton Kane that time. Beckner, after what we saw from Clayton Johnson, putting it to the wall. It's a big risk. Dalton Kane hit the wall pretty hard that time.
Hit the wall hard. And now, there you see him turning down low hard off of turn 2. And we'll take barely out of the head. 27. Oh, some contact. You see Travis Beckner also caught off guard by that.
Dalton Kane, pretty much, I don't know if he parked the bus and Beckner wasn't ready for it or what, but they came together. How hard these two are racing. I like where Jacob Cannon is right now. His times really aren't that bad compared to these two.
I wonder if he's able to kind of back it off a little bit in the last run, maybe have something left here as Beckner, another slide job ahead of the 7.
And that was a tight one. They made more contact there. I don't think Dalton Kane's going to open too many more of those. It's going to spin out of 4. I don't know who it was, but we're still green. I think it was Bryce Senesac as there's more contact.
More contact. We remain green. No caution yet as these two are side by side. Beckner in the wall trying to find a lane as Dalton Kane goes up to block. And now to switcheroo to the bottom goes Beckner.
I saw why Senesac spun. He got slammed by Clayton Johnson, but the race stays green as these two coming to 10 to go are battling it out hard as Jacob Cannon is losing touch with them.
Losing touch a little bit. I just don't think he's quite there. I think he might have burned his stuff too early on in the race. He is definitely going to be there, though, should something happen to these two. And I mean, considering the history between these two, it's not necessarily out of the picture.
Never know. Ryan Zabot could come up and pass both of them. He's about to get the Jacob Cannon. That's going to be a battle for 3rd, while this battle for the lead still goes on.
Battle's all kicking off here as we're just about 10 laps to go. Dalton Kane still in the lead. Travis Beckner doing the best, doing everything he can, but I can see that car, he's slowly running out of steam.
Running out of steam and running out of time to get that first crown jewel victory. Crazy to think, all of his wins, he does not have a crown jewel, and he's seeing one slip away from him again.
That's got to be some level of frustrating there. He's dominated the season, but not at its most prestigious races. And it's ironic in a way, too, because, again, we mentioned how good he is at tire saving, but just no matter, some sort of circumstance just kind of take him out of the running for that win. And seeing in the background Ryan Zabot and Jacob Cannon fighting for 3rd place.
I think Zabot's got a little more grip than Jacob Cannon right now, just trying to complete this pass. You can see Cannon, even on the outside line, just cannot get the grip to get out of the corner. I think Zabot is going to have this 3rd spot. Is Clayton Johnson trying to catch back up to both of them? He might get the Cannon, but it'll be too little too late for the race lead as Beckner keeps sliding hard into the corner, just trying to hope maybe Dalton King gets slowed up by lap traffic or something, but just running out of time.
Yeah, he's kind of running out there, and I think at this point, you just kind of have to hope and pray someone's arm's itchy. And just hope for a caution, because unless things get reset, Dalton Kane, again, he really plays this strategically brilliantly. I think he was hoping a caution was going to come out. Maybe he was expecting a caution to come out. And with the caution coming out, had his tires saved up and just kind of put the foot to the floor. And is slowly taking off here. The lead now almost up to a 2nd.
From his first start, he wasn't expecting potentially his only wins to come at the same racetrack in the same season, but he's about to sweep Charlotte if he can get to a few more laps without someone's arm getting itchy, but willing to see maybe a battle for 4th if Clayton Johnson can hustle up there to Jacob Cannon, but he's lost some ground the past few laps. You
can see between Beckner and Cannon, both of them falling off a little bit. Clayton Johnson also as well, and I think he used up his stuff in the 2nd run. never's quite able to come back, and we saw it with a damage, got it repaired, but starting back in traffic, just didn't have enough.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be pretty darn upset, as I can't blame him. We've seen him rip the top, slam the right rear all season long. We've seen harder hits he's gotten away with. This Kane got held a little bit there by the 13 of Case Lacatus, but not quite enough, as Beckner really hit it hard that time. That almost could have killed the darn thing. But he's got a good gap to Zabot, who won't catch him for this spot, but I'm sure he's not going to be happy not getting this one. But Dalton Kane's going to be ecstatic. He just get to the white flag.
Yeah, he works his way through 3 and 4, trying to get around Bryce Henizak. White flag in the air. One more lap to go in this season here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Dalton Kane was almost lapped earlier in the race, held it back way hard, waited for the cautions to come out, put the metal to the floor, and will slide out of turn 4. He went here earlier in the year, and he'll win again once more in the Crown Jewel event. Dalton Kane will win the final race of the season, the VDRA Sim Racing World Championship here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Getting it done here. How about that?
Got to be the only driver this season to have swept a racetrack. Got both at Charlotte.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something in the dirt, what it happens to be, but you definitely can't argue he loves this place. You're going to love it even more here after you mention he sweeps it for the season.
Once he breathes that Charlotte, North Carolina air, it's different, I suppose.
We'll take a chance to go through your finishing order here, as it'll be, again, Dalton Kane with the win, his second win of the season, coming home at the only track he's won at this season. Travis Beckner, fortunately, will not be able to add another win to his wins column, but a solid second place for him after a hard night's work. Ryan Zabot started on pole, won't quite get the win, but will finish in the top 3, as well with Jacob Cannon in 4th and Clayton Johnson back in 5th.
Clayton Johnson will be pretty darn disappointed about that. Bryce Henizak, I saw the move Clayton Johnson made. That Henizak got spun in. It did not bring out a yellow, but Henizak ended up a lap down because of it. Lacatus 7th, Jonathan Averett 8th, Brent Carey 9th, and Jaden Freiberger will be disappointed how his race ended. 10th place for him after having a 3-win season.
Yeah, I think he's going to be annoyed at the way things played out. You know, we quite don't know what would have happened there at the end if he had anything left to make a run and try to catch back up there. And I do see some in the chat. Bryce Henizak not happy with Clayton Johnson. Not quite sure what happened between those two. But
20 laps to go or something. It was Clayton Johnson pulling a really far back slide job, and he just pile drove Henizak.
I guess just figured this wasn't worth it at that point. But drivers are going to argue all night long as we take a look at the last page of finishers. Ryan and Joseph Swan, not happy ends to their night, especially for Joseph Swan, effectively ending on the opening lap for him. And I think he might, I'm not sure if he's disqualified properly or because he's showing him 100 laps down. But yeah, unfortunately, for his night, probably would have hoped for things to go a little bit better. But in the meantime, we'll talk to our third place finisher, Ryan Zabot. Ryan, yeah, started on pole for this, your only pole of the season. Had some decent pace there at the beginning, but at the end, you kind of came back, but weren't quite there. Walk us through how it went.
Yeah, man, had a good quality session there and ran a good heat race, but really didn't know what pace to set. I have like only 100 lap races I run are in here, so it's really a guessing game. Just trying to really just follow Travis there and go when he went, and we finally got a caution there at the end. My tires are already gone by then and caught a little damage from somebody. I'm not sure how I got it. Got to go back and look at the replay, but I guess my nose was killed, and they just took off and left me, and then all the cautions at the end sort of snuck a third place in there.
Yeah, and you know, as the race went on, did you feel the bottom at some point, was it better to kind of like throw sliders into the corner, or do you feel like it was better just consistently run that outside lane? I mean, it's kind of hard because pretty much most of the track was worn out.
Yeah, 1 and 2 was definitely top predominant there toward the end, or really the whole race. And it was sort of slider line in 3 and 4 that just off of the bottom of 4 there was really slick. So you had to slide to the middle to the top to get traction off. But you know, it was sort of, you could run anywhere as long as you just held the throttle right.
All right, well, Ryan, congratulations on a third place finish and of course your first pole of the season. And yeah, best of luck to you. I would say for the rest of the season, but outside of the series, best of luck to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank y'all for coming along this year and helping out.
No problem, anytime. Thanks for talking to us.
All right, man. Thank y'all.
And with that, we'll move on to Travis Beckner. And Travis, for 10 times this season, we have talked to you as the last driver in the lineup, but unfortunately for you, didn't quite get the win, didn't quite get the W. You led quite a few laps tonight as well, 25, but not quite the win you would have hoped for, especially looking for a win in Crown Jewel event, which I was surprised Connor mentioned you haven't gotten one this season.
Nope. And then, of course, the one Crown Jewel race that I was looking forward to the most, I happened to be out of town for it, so I wasn't able to run it. But what a race. That was awesome. I'm sad that I didn't win, but that was just insanity, those last 50 laps between Clayton, Dalton, and I. We were just throwing it in there, hoping it would stick, and I didn't save enough tires at the beginning of the race because with the small field, I was thinking, man, we might not get any cautions. I'm gonna let her eat a little bit, and we decided to throw, I think it was 3 cautions, so.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it back, especially compared to what we saw at Eldora, I think that was the most extreme version of that. We saw a lot of drivers hang almost too far back. Do you feel like lessons were learned from there, and some drivers were pushing, you yourself maybe pushing a little bit harder to make sure that situation didn't happen? Of course, with Dalton Kane, he almost got lapped at one point too.
Yeah, I had somebody spotting for me in Discord, and they're like, Kane's about to go a lap down. I'm like, I know he's not. He's about to start pushing, so he doesn't go a lap down. But just cautions came out the wrong time. But it produced a really good race for the lead, and overall, I'll take second for it. First ever iRacing championship in anything between officials, area, and FTF. So first ever championship. I'm excited about that, and looking forward to next year. Next year's gonna be awesome.
All right, well, Travis, thanks for talking to us again. Fantastic season, 10 poles, 10 wins. I'm not sure how many top 5s. Actually, I'm trying to see if I can find the number for you. It should be 23 top 10s, which means you finished every single race in the top 10, and 20 top 5s out of 23 starts. So that's pretty phenomenal season across the board for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, I chalk that up to a very successful season, to say the least. I actually kind of felt like Jake Nichols a little bit when he was killing all of us over an area. Also before I go, gotta thank a whole bunch of people. Obviously, y'all taking the time out of day to come broadcast this. I can't wait to go back and watch this. This was an awesome race. At one point there, I was screaming, woo! But y'all taking time out of your day to come broadcast this. Best broadcast in iRacing. Dawson Miller for putting this series together. Next season, I'm hoping we get a lot more cars. But for what it sounds like with the format, I think we will. Got to give a shout out to Hendry County Motorsports Park, Wilson Race Cars, Central Mobile Home Sheds and Trailers, Cosmet at Splash Go Graphics for making this beautiful paint scheme. Gotta thank my grandparents before I forget about that. Also gotta thank my dad and everybody that has raced this season in VDRA. Even the ones that I didn't necessarily get along with and may or may not have put someone on their lid. But we don't talk about that. I think that's it.
All right. Well,
yeah, that's it.
All right, Travis, again, thanks for talking to us as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and last but certainly not least, got to talk to our race winner, Dalton Kane, in the number 7 machine. Dalton, at one point, you were about to go a lap down, and we're really concerned for you because we thought you might have been holding back a little bit too much, similar to what we saw a lot of drivers do at Eldora. But this caution came out, and I don't know if you would argue it, probably at the perfect time for you.
Yeah. I wish it would have come out a few laps before, kind of, because I had to push to keep away from it.
Yeah, and speaking of that too, was that the plan from the get-go to kind of bank on the cautions coming out, or were you just trying to save as much as you could?
Yeah, when I missed qualifying and everything, that's what the original plan was, just take the lead and win it, but that turned into the plan.
And then obviously, looking at the rest of the race, was as the track wore off, was there any particular lane you preferred, the top lane, bottom lane, or were you just kind of putting the car wherever you had to?
Right in the middle. I could not run the top. I can't wall ride like some of these people, but I could just pace through the middle.
All right, well, Dalton, congratulations. And another thing I got to ask, too, do you have something particular in Charlotte that you love about? Because it's kind of amazing the fact the only 2 wins you had this season came at this very track.
My buddy's won here in real life, and he put the dick sticks on this thing. CG.
All right, Dalton, well, congratulations getting it done for the final race of the season.
All right, thank you.
And with that, it's going to be wrapping up interviews not only for this race, but for the rest of the season. As Connor, as you wrap things up, you're looking back, reflecting not only on this race, but also for the fantastic season we've had of dirt racing action.
It was entertaining. I mean, it's definitely it's really the first bit of dirt racing I've watched through and through. I don't get to watch it often, but it is pretty darn fun. Watch all these drivers give it everything they got, whether it's planting it to the right rear to the wall or trying to go for that slide job at the end of a race, trying to get that extra spot, go for the win, the restarts. I mean, it was darn entertaining. Travis Beckner dominant, as we saw all season long. He only finished, I believe, 3 races outside the top 5 in the races he did all season. Ran away with the championship. Freiberger, pretty strong. I think if Clayton Johnson had been able to run the races Beckner did, there could have been a title fight. There's a lot of drivers that could have ran more races that could have been title contenders as well, but it's pretty darn fun racing. This is a track I could see why they go to 2 times a season. It was fun both times for the 100-lap Crown Jewel tonight and the 50-lap feature we saw in the spring. But a fun season. Can't wait to look forward to see what this league does next season. Should be a fun one. Get that participation up. More prizes possibly. We'll wait and see. I'm not saying that, but maybe they will. But it was really fun. A lot of good racing and a lot of drama too. I was not expecting that drama we saw all season, especially with the same people involved too in a lot of it. But it was a fun season.
Yeah, definitely can't argue with that. It was fun to watch. Just everything from the racing, the drama, the on-track action, guys getting out like Travis Beckner, dominating, taking home the championship at the end of this season. And again, more things hopefully in store for the VDRA Late Model Series. But that's going to be wrapping up things from SimTV for this series for this season in 2025. My name is Finity Kuna here with Connor Horn. We'll be wrapping things up for the VDRA Late Model Series. Thank you for watching.